What's up everybody, this is Lyle with No Hippie Barbecue. What I'm going to be doing today is going to be a pineapple chicken recipe that was inspired by a post that I saw on Facebook. Now I am taking a little bit of liberty to change things up a little bit. I'm going to be cooking this kind of how I do in real life, so I'm just going to be kind of whipping it together. But in the description below is going to be a list of the ingredients and amounts that were in the original recipe plus any changes I made. Let's take a look at what the ingredients are. First of all, we have some cubed chicken thighs, some butter. Now I'm using the butter instead of the oil that they have. I think that butter, when it kind of browns up in this, it's going to give it some nice flavor. Seasoning, we have some salt. They use pepper. I'm going to be using some Thai chili pepper flakes. That's going to be awesome. We have some brown sugar, garlic paste. And they use paste as well, and then I'm going to hit it with a little bit of ginger paste on top of that, which was not in the original recipe. We have some soy sauce, some hoisin sauce, chicken broth. Obviously we have the pineapple, and this pineapple is going to make a really nice presentation. We're going to be slicing this pineapple in half and hollowing it out. So we'll get to that here in a little bit. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier that is not in the original recipe is I am going to hit this chicken with a little bit of cornstarch before we start cooking it. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and get in this now. Now I don't have on any gloves right now. There's a shortage of gloves during this pandemic and everything, and if anybody has a problem with me cooking this with my bare hands, that's just going to be some hippie shit we're going to have to get over. So I'm going to mix this up right quick. And I'm going to put this in the refrigerator once I'm done mixing it up, and then we'll get on to this pineapple. So now as far as this pineapple goes, we just want to cut it in half. Now I'm going to do the best with my kitchen cart right here. Normally I'd be doing this on my sturdy counter, but I'm working with what I got. So we're going to cut all the way through the pineapple and the top of the pineapple as well. I did sharpen this knife before I started this. Pineapple is definitely one of those things that you want to you want to have a sharp knife when you're working with it. So we got the pineapple cut in half. Now, I'm not going to do all this on camera, but I have a short paring knife. I'm just going to kind of go around the outside without cutting all the way through. And I'm going to go around in a circle. And you definitely don't want this to go all the way through, because at the end, this is going to be our presentation. Let me set this aside. And then we're just going to kind of do almost like a checkerboard pattern. Now this core in the middle, we don't want to work around that. Now that doesn't mean that we're not going to use some of that closer to it. I'd just rather pull this, get everything out of here before I really cut through that core, because I don't want my knife to actually go all the way through the pineapple. So there we go. It doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that. What I'm going to do is get a spoon, scoop this out. I'm going to get the other pineapple done, and then we'll get on cooking. Now that we have the pineapple cubed up and hollowed out, I'm going to tell you, that's going to be your hardest part in this entire recipe right here. We're going to get cooking this chicken. Like I said, I'm going to be using butter as opposed to regular oil. I think as this butter browns, it's going to give it a nice little nutty flavor. Never afraid to experiment. And as I mentioned earlier, I did hit this chicken with some cornstarch as well, which was not in the original recipe. We're eyeballing it. We're going to hit it with some kosher salt. And our Thai chili flakes. And these are super hot right here. Or you could just stick with the original recipe and do black pepper. You'd be fine with that. Now I'm gonna cook this till it's brown. In the meantime, this bowl that the chicken was in, I'm gonna wash that out so we can add our chicken back in once it's done getting cooked. So our chicken's done. We're gonna scoop it up, set it aside. Now all this stuff that's stuck to the bottom of the pan, that's gonna come up once we add our liquids in here. And that's gonna do nothing but add more flavor as well. If I can just keep it in the bowl and not on my table. We'll get that in a second. Let's not stop the flow. Okay, so we added our pineapple. Like I said, we're eyeballing all this here. I'm gonna go with our soy sauce. Hoisin sauce. Our chicken broth. And I may add more to that later, just not sure. And then we have our garlic paste. And our ginger. Give that a good stir. I'm going to cover this up and let it cook. This is on like a medium low right now. I'm going to let it cook for about 5 minutes, just see how it's looking. Before I forget, let's add our brown sugar in as well. That one almost slipped me. All right, we'll cover it up and let it roll. And one thing I did do was let this simmer for about 15 minutes, and that was more or less just to let the pineapple get a little bit more tender. I'll tell you right now, outside of the presentation on this, I would be much happier doing this with a can of dull pineapple, so keep that in mind as we go forward. But we're gonna add this chicken in. This is almost done. All we're gonna do, add our chicken in, stir it up a little bit. I'm gonna let it simmer for about another, I don't know, 7 to 10 minutes, just to bring all that flavor together. Then it'll be time to plate up. All right, so we've let this cook down, let that sauce kind of thicken up. Now I have our 2 pineapples over here. Now, like I'm saying, this, if I had it to do over again other than the presentation, I would just be using canned pineapples and kind of going that route. But like I said, if you're looking for something that has some presentation, this might be just what you're looking for. So I'm going to finish getting these filled up and then get things set up for the taste test. Alright, so that is it. It's a wrap. Now listen, if I had this to do over again, like I said, I don't think I'd go through all of this work. I mean, even just hollowing out the pineapple was the hardest thing in this recipe. So if you think that this might be a recipe you want to try, just knock out some dull chunk pineapples. But it does have a nice presentation, if I do say so myself. And like I mentioned earlier, I will have the original recipe in the description below, because I did make more portions than what that recipe said. Then I will add about what my ingredients would be at that portion size. The extras I added, like the red chili peppers and, you know, stuff like that. So anyway, none of this matters. If it doesn't taste good, get in, see what's up. Now I just cooked the rice as per the directions on the per the directions on this rice. Basically 2 to 1 water to rice.
Love the heat off that. Plus the chicken's so nice and tender. Definitely really good.
It's Hetty Murphy approved, so that's good to go right there. Anyway, I do want to thank you guys for stopping by No Hippie Barbecue. I appreciate it. Check me out on my trucking channel, No Hippie Trucking and Transportation, if you want to see part of that life. Anyway, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.